You've tuned in to Books, Business, and Beyond, a show that teaches you how to maximize your income from your book to create the lifestyle you want. Now here's your host, the international expert who loves hiking mountains and a good cup of coffee in the mornings, Shelley Hitz, and her partner in success, Kristen Eckstein.
Welcome to edition 1 of Books, Business, and Beyond, the podcast that's going to help you learn how to diversify your income as an author. And I am Shelley Hitz, your co-host, and I'm joined today with Kristen Eckstein.
Hey everybody, it's Kristen Eckstein, the Book Ninja, coming to you from North Carolina. And Shelley, where are you at today?
I'm in Colorado Springs, and it is beautiful here. I'm so excited to get this podcast started. And Kristen, do you want to just talk a little bit about how we first decided to come up with this podcast and why we're doing it?
It was quite a fun, exciting time. We were actually both at NAMS, Novice to Advanced Marketing System, and you can find out more about NAMS at booksbusinessandbeyond.com/NAMS. And I had already done a podcast, or tried, right when I was hacked back in 2013. And because of the great hacking of 2013, my podcast never really fully got off the ground. And I do things so much better with partners anyway. So Shelley and I met up at NAMS and roomed together the first night just to hang out some more.
And that was so much fun.
Oh my gosh, I don't think we got any sleep at all.
I know.
Shelley's like, hey, I've been thinking about starting a podcast. And I'm like, oh, let's do it. So we evolved the name, brainstormed it with several other great people that are there, contacts of both of ours that are friends and people who have a lot of experience in podcasting, kind of took us under their wing and gave us some tips on how to get started. And now you are listening to the fruits of that event and that exciting time of zero sleep in a hotel room.
I know. It's so exciting. I've been wanting to do a podcast for a long time. I also have done podcasts in the past, and just it kind of fizzled out. And I knew that this was something I wanted to do. One of the strengths I have is speaking. And so I knew that video and podcasting would be something very important for me to be doing more of. However, I was just trying to figure out exactly how to execute this podcast. And so when you approached me, I was so excited because that is one of the hardest things with a podcast, is to keep it going long term. But when you have somebody else, helping and prodding you on, and, it just helps, keep it going. But we're passionate about helping authors. Both of us have businesses where we help authors. And yet we really have seen a need to help authors think outside of their book, to think about building a business beyond their book and diversifying their income. And so that's really what we want the theme of this podcast to be. Yes, we're going to be talking some about publishing and marketing and even writing and that sort of thing, but we really want to help authors see even beyond what is possible beyond their book royalties.
Absolutely. And so that brings me to what diversifying actually means. I mean, diversity's been a big buzzword in humanity. We're all diverse. We're all different colors of skin. But what does it mean for your book? And one of the things that it does mean for me is back-end products and services. Back-end meaning your book is a doorway. It's a gateway for people to come to you and see everything else that you have to offer. And so what does diversifying mean for you, Shelley?
Well, for me, it means so much because I started off as a physical therapist. Then I totally changed careers. I resigned my job in 2011 and really thought I was going to be full-time speaking, or getting an income full-time from speaking. And that totally changed. And we started getting a full-time income from book royalties for 2 years. We had a full-time income from that, and just realized, though, over those 2 years, we watched our book royalties go up and down each month. And we realized that depending on book royalties was not our best business strategy. And it was a little bit stressful because you just never knew. I mean, with Kindle, 2 months out. With, other print, you may know a month out. But, it's hard to know, like, how much you're going to get each month, how sales are going to go. And so I realized that I needed to have another plan in place. I needed to have other things besides just my books. And I started online marketing 10 years ago. And so I have experience with diversifying my income in different ways, but I realized I needed more of a plan now. And that's when I really started focusing on adding other services. So I was adding coaching, one-on-one coaching, and I relaunched products on the back end. And, I'm going to start some group coaching things, which is more of a live and interactive event. But yeah, I think as authors, we need to be looking at other ways to provide that income for us, especially if this is something that you want to do full time.
Absolutely. I mean, I'll be the first one to tell you my book royalties, because I haven't done much marketing with my books. They cover a lot of my smaller bills, but they're not a full-time income. And that's because I've been in diversifying my income since day one. When I first started out in publishing, it was in publishing services. I only published my own books to show people that I really knew how to do it, not necessarily to make money off of those book sales. So I saw it from the other angle, from the opposite end of, I'm going to help other authors get their books out to the world and charge them for it and hopefully make some money that way. And then my books would be my back end. So I kind of flipped it around, and most recently, as of the starting of this podcast, in fact, my company is in a complete transition. So we're moving more into the space of, I really need to have a plan in place and it really start to see more long-term, more than just the typical right-brained thinking of something and acting on it and just going and creating a product over the weekend without really thinking about where it fits in my overall business plan. So I'm spending the entire month right now planning the future of my business, trying to plan out at least 6 months, if not the entire year, to be able to make sure I have those back-end products and services in place, because my business is transitioning out of done-for-you services. I've done that for over 11 years, and frankly, I'm done. I'm done with done-for-you.
Yeah, and I love the way that we have different perspectives. We come from, a little bit different angle, and I think that's so valuable because throughout this podcast, we're going to both be offering our different perspectives on the different topics, and that is going to add extra value to our listeners, and we're so thankful for each one of you that's listening. We're so thankful you've tuned in, and we want to add as much value to each podcast as we can. And, Kristen, as you're going through this change with your business, it'll be interesting to hear what you learn and the things that you can then share with all of us. And for me, I am also in the process of doing a lot of changes in my business. So it will be a lot of fun to be able to share real life experiences and what really works.
Yeah, and you guys all listening are going to get some inside peeks, because we'll be talking about stuff off the cuff during this podcast of things that are going on behind the scenes in both of our businesses that most people aren't really going to get to see. So thank you so much for listening to this podcast. And to give you a little sneak peek on upcoming episodes, we are going to be having some awesome interviews. So one of the people we have coming to you right off the bat is Joanna Penn from The Creative Pen. And she is just such an awesome author entrepreneur. And she's going to help us bridge that gap between author and entrepreneur to create what I like to call authorpreneurs. And then we're going to talk about some of our favorite money-making ideas. We're going to have some money-making mindset people come on to help you get past that block of being a poor starving artist, because that's something that starving writers tend to fall into that gap a lot. And there are specific mindset shifts that you need to make when you start thinking bigger and beyond your book. And then we are going to get into some book production, because without a good product, you're not going to be able to have a good back end. You need a good front end as well. So we've got awesome lineup for you.
But yeah, we have tons of people that we're going to be bringing in to also share their expertise. And we just want to make this a power pack of value and information for authors. And we value your time. So each episode is going to be around 20 minutes. Give or take a few minutes, and we're going to try to fit as much as we can into that time. But Kristen, why don't you talk a little bit about how you really, see this whole process of diversifying your income and just your business model in particular. Like, how has it been successful for you? Because you started with this from the very beginning.
I did. And I started with designing covers for authors, handling editing, putting together the entire book, and then shipping the printed proof off to the author. So it was literally a hand us your Microsoft Word document and we'll hand you a finished, bound, beautiful book. And that is something that I actually transitioned because there's several different ways to do that. And over the years, I've gone from vanity publisher to traditional publisher to consultant to starting companies for entrepreneurs. And that's actually what I've been doing full time for the past 6 years. And now I'm transitioning more into an author trainer, entrepreneur trainer. And I'm just going to start using the term authorpreneur because that seems to be a little bit more accurate of taking authors and helping bridge the gap between issues that you're having with selling your books and then the back end of your business. So my particular business has always been the back end. It's always been about what else can I sell them? What can I upsell them? Like when you sign up for like one of my challenges, you're going to get an immediate offer right after you check out of, it's called a one-time offer. Only one time will you ever see this. So take advantage of it now. That's actually something new that I'm testing out right now. So those kinds of things I'm putting more into place. My members can see in their download area, I have other things like templates. All I do is I listen to my audience. I hang out where they hang out, which tends to be Facebook, and I watch what they complain about. One of the things people complained a lot about was how do they get endorsements for their book? That's actually a whole episode we're going to be bringing to you later because Shelley is the book review queen. So we're going to be getting a lot more information about exactly how to do that. But one of the things I've always trained my authors is write the endorsements for people and send them examples and have them just fill in the blanks or sign their name to it as is. And that way you get what you want. And they saves them time. But they're like, well, what do I write? So I created templates. Endorsement templates, just fill in the blanks of your book title and your benefits, and there you go. So really it's about listening to your audience, listening to your readers, and what else do they want that you can provide fairly easily and quickly. And there's some technical stuff involved, but we're definitely going to be covering that and having some experts on that can help you with that as well.
Yes, and that's so true. I was recently looking over some notes from an event I went to last weekend, and one of the things that just stuck out to me was very simple. I mean, I know this, but it never hurts to get repetition. It never hurts to hear something more than once. And
or 7 or 8 times.
Yeah. And basically, it was just find your target audience's biggest pain point. Find their biggest pain point and then offer a solution. And obviously you want to offer a solution that really works, that really helps and really works. But for instance, the templates you created, you probably know from all your years in experience that those are the types of templates that work, right?
Exactly. I mean, it's something I've coached authors in since 2003. So I know it works. And in fact, I've only ever coached them on how to do it. I haven't really helped them out by doing it or doing the bulk of the heavy lifting work for them. And honestly, guys, here's how I created them. I just sat down on the floor with about 30 different nonfiction books. I read the endorsements. They're all pretty much the same. And I just created from those. I just looked at what was already out there and just created fill in the blanks. And, that's not copying and it's not piracy or anything like that because I did change them up a little bit. I changed the wording up to be my own. But it just goes to show you you can fill a void because everybody's lazy. And that's not a bad thing. Because everybody's lazy, it means you can make more money creating things and make things easier for them. Or their brains might not work that way where they can look at the back cover of a book and make up their own back covers for their own books. They just don't think like that. So think about things that come very easy to you are worth a lot to other people. In fact, they're worth a lot of money. That's one of the things that I learned early on at NAMS, in fact. Once again, booksbusinessandbeyond.com/NAMS. You can learn more about that. You will hear me talk a lot about NAMS because the NAMS conference is responsible for most of my marketing training. I'm an instructor there, and I instruct twice a year, or I at least attend twice a year if I'm instructing or not. That's how good it is. I'm always there. And I have been going since NAMS 3, and I think the next one next year is going to be NAMS 13. So I've been going for 10 of these conferences, about 5 years. And these conferences taught me, one of the first things I learned was what comes really easy to you is worth the most. So whatever comes the absolute easiest to do, something you don't even have to think about, you just do it naturally, that is worth the most amount of money to somebody else who can't do that thing or just can't get past their own blocks to do it. And that was hard for me because it comes so easy for me. I thought, well, I should give it away for free, right? Well, no, it doesn't mean you give it away for free at all. So these are more of the things we're going to go more in depth on in this podcast. And Shelley, for the sake of time and respecting the time of our listeners, this very first episode, introduction to what you're going to learn and everything. And hopefully you got a couple little tidbits of tips, both of stuff that we've already done and stuff that we're going to be doing on the podcast. I think that we should probably wrap it up.
Yes, I agree. And I think, the biggest thing that we want to get across in this first episode is that, number one, it is important to think outside your book, to think about building a business that will earn you money for long term, and that's not just book royalties. And the second thing is that it is possible. Both Kristen and I have multiple streams of income in multiple different areas, as well as many other authors. And we're going to bring people in to help tell you, and we're going to talk you through a lot of this, but we want you to succeed. And we're so excited to take you through step by step, just how to diversify your income and get your brains going, because we're going to give you tons of ideas. So we're going to close off for today, but it's going to be exciting, isn't it, Kristen?
It's going to be a blast. So stay tuned for next week for our next episode, which is all about publishing success secrets.
You've been listening to Books, Business, and Beyond, the show that teaches you how to maximize your income from your book to create the lifestyle you want. Visit your host, international best-selling author Shelley Hitz, and her partner in success, Kristen, the Book Ninja Eckstein, at booksbusinessandbeyond.com and grab your free gift today. Tune in next time for more ways to diversify your income beyond the book, and don't miss a single episode. Subscribe to this podcast on iTunes.